DGENZ, the show starts now. Welcome to the weekly roundtable, where the takes are hot and FOMO set to disable. Welcome to the weekly roundtable, where friends are made and we all drink that red maple. Break. Juan's got his eyes on the latest somehow. We mean forex that make you go wild. Crypto crazy is a man on a mission like a Tesla. He most def got a vision. Weekly roundtable, we got no cables, predicting the future using their bagels.
We need to talk. Just ignore the noise. We'll be discussing that and everyone's predictions on the market, the current market conditions, including gold and stocks. And we will discuss a few things that we believe could be affecting the market right now. Some you may know already, some you may not. So we will get right to it. Let's call up the panel. 1G, Crypto Cruiser, and TerryMotive as usual. How you doing, gentlemen?
Great week.
Another great day in America. Let's go.
And in Canada. Don't forget Canada. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, but great day in Canada as well.
The greater
No news.
Canada, what?
North and south.
Aren't we supposed to? Aren't we supposed to be enemies here? What's going on?
No. Pretty soon we might be your 51st state, so be careful. Okay. Let's get right into it. We're not going to do any headlines today. I think we're going to jump right into a conversation. We're going to try to, dissect exactly what's going on in the markets, both in crypto and traditional markets as well. Now, one thing I do want to mention, you have to ignore the noise. There's a lot of things going on left and right. You hear everything from tariffs to manipulation in the market. So we're going to kind of break that down. It's no secret that the whales and entities and exchanges and the elites in the crypto market, they do what they can to try to get lower prices and fill their bags, and they do whatever they can, including but not limited to artificially pumping and dumping the price. We've been talking a lot about Binance and Wintermute, the little things that they have going on. Binance had a major fine that they had to pay off, so they sold off a lot of their holdings, their altcoins. That really didn't help the market, kind of sparked the downturn. And then, of course, we have all the talk of tariffs and that sort of thing, which we may not go into detail on that here because there's too many other things to get into. But an example that I wanted to give, I'm actually going to bring this up right now. There was an article that the SEC, or news that SEC, they were going to be dropping their case against Ripple. Now, you would think that would be bullish for the market, which, at any other time and any other point in the market it would have. XRP did pump a little bit, but not as much as you would expect. Now, what happened literally hours after that article was posted that the SEC was going to be dropping the case against Ripple, Binance Square comes out with this article about XRP being on the brink. So, excuse me, this is just an example of the manipulators doing their thing. They bullish news comes out about Ripple, XRP specifically. So then Binance comes out with an article basically saying that XRP is not doing well. It has dropped with the rest of the market. Gives a couple of price points and support and resistance zones. Basically, they kind of put the fear out there, making people think that XRP specifically is going to have a rough time in the near future. There's no way to predict that, and this is just another way to try to counteract any bullish news in the market. It seems every time we get any bullish information, something comes out, or an article comes out, or you hear some news to the contrary, or something that pulls the market down. So the market has been very volatile. I'll show you in a bit on the Bitcoin chart. We get a little bit of a pump in the Bitcoin price like we did yesterday, all the way up to 84,000. And then a little bit of bearish news today, which really isn't bearish news because overall the macro is actually pretty good. You have the Fed rumored to be cutting rates pretty soon, maybe not this coming month, but in the near future. Quantitative tightening might be easing up to neutral or even quantitative easing. We have institutions that continue to buy. There was another thing I read on here about strategies. Michael Saylor, sorry. He announced a plan to buy 21 billion worth of Bitcoin. He came up with a complete strategy on how they're going to do it. That's questionable as to if that's sustainable. But the point is, more Bitcoin is going to be bought, and you can't help but feel bullish when you read articles like that. I know right now there's a lot of stuff going on politically with the tariff war, and things are going on between the U.S. and Canada. But people have to realize that U.S. is a big part of the crypto market, but it's not the only part of the crypto market. You have the entire world. It's a global asset. So the fact that one country can affect the price in such a way seems silly to me, because the U.S. is not the center of the universe as much as our fellow American and other Americans may think so. The world does not revolve around the U.S. So people have to realize that there are other entities in the world that affect the markets. But anyway, so let's talk about some other things or pieces of information. The other thing I wanted to mention, the market has high expectations. I remember last bull market, guys, what do you, if I'll go around the horn here, if you guys had heard that a government, especially the US government, was going to start a crypto reserve, they also were going to hold a Bitcoin summit at the White House. What do you think this would have done to the Bitcoin price in previous markets? We'll say, in 2020. Juan, how do you think that would have affected market then? It probably would have exploded. We would have had a God candle.
It's funny because you're 100% on hit the nail on the head with this, right? Like back then, just the rumor, you would have already seen the upswell. The candles will be swelling, right? You'll see like these wicks kind of pointing towards an uptrend momentum, and we never kind of saw that, right? We knew it was coming, right? But we never kind of got there. And then when the news dropped, did I expect that how it came out? Yes, right. Because let's just be honest, I expected a little bit more. I wanted more information, but because you didn't know what was coming, I expected bigger groundswell towards that day, and we never got it. I thought we was going to hit 95, 98, 90, 100, and then kind of drop back down to 95, 91. Right? That makes sense just because there was no real context to his news. So yeah, I totally agree with you. We should have had at least a God candle, or if not, a series of candles through prior to Friday.
Yeah, I agree. Cruiser.
Well, there's so much going on, so many different things that that affect what's happening right now. But yeah, of course, it should have sent things to the moon, as we say, right? But instead, I think people are just too afraid. But certainly, it should have catapulted us to new levels, and that didn't happen.
No, you're absolutely right. I think the big thing is the fear and greed right now is still sitting at 16. So there's a lot of fear in the market for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure. There's even more fear in the market now than at the bear market lows when Bitcoin went down to 16,000. Terry, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Market would have just gone ripping on that kind of news, at various times in the past, but conditions are different, right? I mean, a lot of liquidity got taken out of the market. I think the thing was, people had really super high expectations. They're like, yeah, this is, they're going to announce that everything's just going to go ripping. And it just didn't, the news just didn't really have the punch. People were like, well, no, they wanted more. And it was just like, there was no substance to it. I think it was just a huge letdown. That's why you didn't see the drive that we expected out of it. And that's why it didn't last.
Yeah, I think in previous bull cycles, news would pump the market like crazy. And I think the difference with this one, because there are a lot of institutional money, the ETFs, et cetera, I think people want to see results. Results is what's actually going to pump the market this time around, instead of just the news of something coming, which good or bad, take it for what it's worth. It just means maybe the excuse me, the market is becoming more mature. That could be a big part of it. And with the fear in the market. But, this cycle, as much as we like to say that the cycles repeat or rhyme, this one is a little bit different. I mean, certain things have happened that have not happened in previous cycles. For example, an all-time high before the halving, that's never happened before. We had a good run-up earlier than usual compared to previous cycles. And of course, the amount of institutional news or fundamentals in the market. For example, the ETFs, a lot of corporations or entities buying, for example, the BlackRock strategy, formerly MicroStrategy. So things are a little bit different this time around. And I think the other thing that kind of changed this market for the good or for the worse, however you want to look at it, was a lot of liquidity. And we've mentioned this many times before. A lot of the retail money went into the meme coins and meme coin season. So that kind of drained it from the traditional assets, crypto assets that we would have seen in previous bull markets. So things are a little bit different, but I think what we're going through now is basically an overall reset. Now, well, and the other thing too is I mentioned Bitcoin hit an all-time high before the halving, and that was during a time when interest rates were high. Interest rates were actually going up. We had quantitative tightening. There wasn't a lot of global liquidity. It was actually on the decline, but yet Bitcoin still hit all-time highs before the halving. So maybe now is just kind of that it's catching up. I did want to show something I showed you gentlemen just before the stream. Here is the Bitcoin chart overlaid over the global money supply. And as you can see here, the Bitcoin price and the global money supply, they did go up, simultaneously up until we hit the all-time high there just before the halving. Global money supply did drop slightly, whereas Bitcoin kept going. It made a new all-time high here, but it finally slowly did catch up. Now, as you can see, normally Bitcoin has correlated with the global money supply. There was a bit of a blip here, but it has now come down and kind of recorrelated. And as you can see now, the global money supply is firing up. There is a delay in this, which we had mentioned last stream, of approximately 2 months. So now, Bitcoin could range in this area for a little bit, but the good news is it probably won't continue to drop because the global money supply, the M2 supply, has gone up. Bitcoin will eventually follow. So if this does follow suit, we could see this. What was it? I believe the chart was 6 weeks, so we could see it in another 2 to 3 weeks. We could actually start going up if it follows the global money supply. If quantitative tightening does begin to go neutral or become like QE does ease, then we could see the price start to go up as well. And the other thing I wanted to mention too is the last market when we had the 35% correction mid-bull cycle, the Bitcoin price did tumble all the way down to the 50-day EMA, and it used that as support. And that actually did just happen last week when Bitcoin went down to 77,000. We closed the CME gap, which we did talk about as well. And it did bounce off that 50-day EMA as well. So like we said, the cycles may not rhyme, but they or repeat, but they often do rhyme. And if that's the case with all these bullish signals on the horizon, we could see the market turn around. Fingers crossed. If the Fed does come and decide to drop rates, that could be a catalyst to begin the next phase of the bull market. And I'm of the mind that this bull market is not over. I'm not sure how you gentlemen feel now after everything that has gone on in the last month. But myself personally, I do believe we are still in a bull market. We're just kind of in the, a longer phase correction of this bull market. Juan, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we still have a lot to gain this year. Now, how long of this year? That's to be determined. A lot of the administration's decisions have kind of slowed down that momentum. So we're kind of looking at what's that gonna look like for us? But it's just not only that, right? We talked about the effects of the technology stocks and their negative impacts on crypto. We look at the resurgence of gold, especially now almost hitting 3K. So those things all play a role on how powerful crypto can move in the next months and going into the end of the year, right? I still am bullish and thinking that we're going to still have a bull market through at least to the end of the year. But right, we need to have more decisions or clear direction from the administration of where we're going to end up with crypto, what the plans are, how much money is going to be allocated to the funds, and what their plans are for the next, at least for the next year. The good news is that you're going to hear a lot of good news from states putting things into place to help crypto as well. So I can't wait to discuss that next.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a minute here. Cruiser, yourself.
Well, I have a couple of thoughts. I'm very hopeful that the bull market will continue. And essentially, that's where I'm at. I'm hopeful, but cautious. And I have to wonder if maybe just kind of going back to where that chart where you showed the overlay. Um, who knows? Maybe the I was going to say the season. I guess yeah. The market is just shifting in its patterns, right? The bull market may not follow previous paths. It could shorten itself because of the the level
Outside
of
influence.
yeah, and just the level of involvement from institutions, and it appears that there is a major decline in retail investors this time around. So maybe it's just shifting the path that the season's going to follow or the market's going to follow. Um, and one other thought on it, I think, well, it goes back to what you said about the U.S. Sure, it doesn't revolve around the U.S., but the fact of the matter is they have such a massive influence, and without any sort of major news coming out regarding crypto anywhere else in the world, the whole market is dependent on what's happening with America and with Canada right now, outside of the crypto space. So I think that's having a major effect on it. We need something positive from somewhere else, anywhere else in the world, something big, to kind of take people's focus away from what's happening here and kickstart this market back to where it should be.
Before I get to Terry, I just wanted to mention before you mentioned outside influences and not as much retail. Well, last market, yeah, there was a lot more retail than this time around, this bull market. But I think a lot of people got caught off guard last bull market, and they lost their shirt. They probably sold
Yeah.
on the way down. And this time around, I think any of the retail that did come back, they're being shaken out because of all the manipulation that's going on. And it's it's
Yeah.
right in front of our eyes. They're not even trying to hide it anymore, which is the worst part. Like
Yeah.
right now, currently, you got if you look at the on-chain data, you can see different exchanges and stuff. They're manipulating the price. They're using the trade war. They're using patterns, lower support areas as narratives, as reasons why prices are going where they're going. They're saying, well, that's just part of the cycle. It's part of the a market evolution. But when in fact it's them using that to their advantage and scooping up all the liquidity. And it's any retail that did return a couple of months ago. They're like, all right, I've had enough. I'm washing my hands of this. I'm out. And I know that the crypto and Bitcoin specifically, it does continually go up every year or every 4 years, every cycle. It's worth more than the previous cycle. But if they continue to shake out retail, this is going to be a completely institutional market, and I don't think we want that. Institutions want that, but no good for retail. Sorry, Terry, your thoughts on that? Oh, you're muted, Terry. Did we lose him? We might have lost Terry. Yeah, we lost Terry.
Oh, we lost
Another
Terry.
victim. Another victim to the matrix.
I do
Yeah,
have
we
a
haven't had the
comment.
Matrix mess the stream up in quite some time. What's that, Cruiser?
I just a comment on what you were just saying. Yeah, the decline in retail investors, I believe, is a direct result of the institutions trying to push everybody out because they want everything for themselves. And those of us that are hanging on for dear life, are hopefully it plays out the right way for us. But it is having a massive impact.
And
I have a slightly different take on it, though. I don't
Okay.
think it's the institutions. I think that we're seeing a lot of investment in the sectors. I think we're seeing a lot of people, especially companies, getting into it. and making decisions based on crypto. The challenge that we have is, as far as retail is concerned, they're afraid, right? Am I going to be able to buy eggs tomorrow, right? And when you kind of put that into their mindset, which is very different from when money was given out freely, right? And everybody just took their money and started buying into markets and investing. Um, it became now it's a very hard decision for the, at least for here in America, where we're just trying to decide, we're trying to get direction if we're going to go into an issue when it comes to recessions or inflation or hyperinflation. So I just think Americans right now for retail, right? It's really hard to kind of sacrifice dollars.
Mm-hmm. No, agreed. Welcome back, Terry. We lost you there for a minute. I just wanted to get your input on what we've been talking about. You didn't really miss much. Don't worry. We're still talking about the overall market, the manipulation, etc.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what happened there. I guess I'm kind of with Cruiser as far as being guardedly optimistic, and I totally agree that the market is shifting. There's some argument about whether it's like left translated or right translated, but it's certainly, there's conceptually some fluidity in it right now. Structurally, we're just not entirely certain which way it's going. I guess I'd have to say that I'm overall bullish from here. So I think we're going to see a bounce. I agree, probably coming in the next few weeks. I'm not sure the local bottom is in, or maybe it's in but not confirmed yet. I'm just waiting for a little bit more of a signal on that. This looked like Solana's headed back up, at least short term now. I did want to mention that on that money supply, the money supply versus Bitcoin. Now, the last time we had the second high, the money supply was going down. So that's bearish divergence, right? I think if we see the money supply start to fall off when Bitcoin is really high again, particularly if we get like a second top out of Bitcoin, that will be a time to be thinking about selling. Right? Because I understand there's a lag to the chart, but I still feel that there's some divergence there. And so if we see that again, that to me would be something you might want to consider as a top signal.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's something we should definitely follow because that's a clear indicator of a possible top signal. Yeah, good point. Thanks for pointing that out. I'm glad to hear you are a little bit bullish. It has been a little while, so maybe the market will turn around now. So everyone, you heard it here first. Terry is bullish somewhat, short term anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you tell it like it is, Terry, and that's why we enjoy having you on here. We get your perspective, and you do the TA quite well. You live and breathe the charts, so you're pretty much in touch with it. So always glad to have your opinion. Okay, the last thing I wanted to mention that helps with the bullishness, and then I'll see what you guys are seeing that maybe I haven't mentioned, but there's a lot of the macro. Yeah, it's not the greatest right now. Everyone can see what's going on if you're watching any of the news channels or even the social media. You know exactly what's going on, and it's adding to the fear in the market. But good news is, a couple of data points came out this week from the U.S. I know we talk about the U.S. a lot, but as Juan would agree to, the U.S. is the center of the universe. So we got to go on, what they do. If they're bullish, then everyone else is bullish. So the employment numbers came in; they were better than expected, and the inflation numbers came in, and they were also better than expected. So I know, like I mentioned earlier, Powell has said that he may not reduce rates this year, but he may actually be forced to. The dollar is tanking, and the other numbers are going in the right direction, so he may actually cut rates, which is amazing. And that, of course, like I said, could lead to quantitative easing. And with the global money supply going up, there's a lot of things converging, and this could be, a very bullish signal in the very short term. So I will go around and talk about this one last time before we go on to a report that Juan has regarding regulation. So I'll start with you, Juan. What are your thoughts on the recent data in the U.S. and let our viewers know what you're thinking short term?
Short term, I think there's still a lot of middling thoughts on what next steps look like, right? When you look at the numbers, obviously the unemployment came out really good, so you're looking, okay, you're happy there, right? But we all know that these numbers are really more previous administration. than current administration, right? Because let's just be honest, I can't blame Trump or at the same time congratulate him on anything because he just got there. He's still
Right.
kind of getting his team together and going through the motions. But when you kind of pull back and see what he's trying to do, I think people are feeling a little hawkish, right? People, especially regular middle class Americans, are just still trying to see where they can spend their money on. I've heard that this year has been the lowest so far in tax returns getting done and completed because people still don't know what that's going to look like, right? And I think it's due next week. So these are the challenges that Americans are going through. So that means if their Americans are late to do the tax returns, that means that money they're going to use to invest is also going to be late, right? So right now, I'm with you guys where we're kind of being cautious, right, and kind of looking at the market. But I can't expect retail now to really kind of go in until late April when these checks start flowing back in.
And the proposed tax cuts too. That'll be around that time that people will start realizing that they have extra money to spend.
Yeah. And again, right, that has to be all approved and finalized and actually detailed out. And we don't know how much it's going to cost. So this is all what like a lot of good news is coming out, but no real details to these news and how it's going to get done. And I think that's why everybody's waiting. Everybody just holding on to the wallets right now.
Yeah, you just confirmed my thesis from earlier that previous bull markets, people would invest on news. The markets would pump on news. This time around, people want to see results. And that's that difference there, I think, between this market and previous markets. Cruiser, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Well, being up here in Canada, let's face it, we don't have much of an influence on the market at all in Canada. So everything hinges on what's going on south of the border. So for us, it's really just sit around and see what's going to happen. There's not really much that we can do or say about it.
We just react to the damn Yankees.
Yeah. Yeah, our hands are tied, right? We don't have much influence. So as the news comes out south of the border, we have to kind of sit and wait and see what's going to happen. Sure, there's a lot of positives, but like Juan just pointed out, there's not a lot of details to these news events that are surfacing.
Right.
And until there's some substance to them, something people can just grab onto and run with, it's kind of floating. It's kind of in that middle ground. Nobody knows, whether we're climbing the ladder or getting kicked down the stairs.
We need more. We did this, and less. We're going to do this. Terry, what about you? How are you feeling short term?
I think that you're right. That the news is driving market movements less, and it's because there's just been so much whipsaw that people are tired of it. It's like everybody's from Missouri all of a sudden, right? They're like, show me. So, another thing is the CPI came down, but they have tweaked the method of reporting, and that's not really a criticism. That's just like a note because that's something that. I think every administration does that. They just kind of tune the reporting a little bit. So the numbers, they're not exactly the same as they were before. Now, it's just not necessarily good or bad. Just understand that there is a little bit of difference to the reporting. But there's no reason to keep the rates up if inflation stays low and the jobs stay good. Now, there is an argument that Trump has been doing some of these things because he wants the economy to contract for the time being, because he needs the interest rates to go down because some of our national debt is coming up for refinancing, and he desperately wants to refinance that at a lower rate. That will be, that would be an accomplishment. That would be something he can point to, something absolutely concrete that he can show, because that's one of the criticisms a lot of people have is like, dude, give us something hard. That would be something absolutely concrete that he could point to, and you'd have to give him, right, for sure. That would be something that would be positive for the nation going forward.
Very good point. Yeah, I did hear about that. he's trying to tank, well, not just the dollar, but the markets overall, so that rates can be dropped. Yeah, I did hear that as well. That's a good point because, even if the rates were only dropped 0.25%, that is a huge savings on the U.S. debt. So yeah, very, very good, good point. Got to keep that in mind. Okay, I'm going to switch the chart over to gold here because Juana, I don't know if you had a gold report, but you did want to mention something on the regulation side of things. What are you hearing?
Well, let's start with regulation. Well, we heard about New York last week, and now we have Nebraska coming on board, right? With legislative bill 609, the Controllable Electronic Record Fraud Prevention Act. Oh, that's muffled. Again, what they're trying to do with this bill is focus on protecting customers from scams, especially when it comes to cryptocurrencies at ATMs and at kiosks. I don't know how it is in Canada, but in the States, there's definitely kiosks where you can actually deposit and withdraw Bitcoin, well, cash version, right? So that's with your wallet. So that's pretty cool. Making sure that licensing requirements for state operators are in place, daily transaction limits, fraud warning notices, right? Because again, anytime your transaction, like even with us here, we have warnings, right, for you guys. Transaction receipts, so then you have proof of what the transaction looks like for yourself. But I think that's more for them to kind of be able to track you. Let's just be honest. Fee caps. So again, right, when you're dealing with crypto, these fees can go as low as, cents of the dollars to as high as Ethereum fees. It's still the highest in my opinion. They're also working on provisions for refunds in cases of fraudulent transactions. So that's going to be a doozy, and how they're going to be able to do that. And I'm assuming they're going to tie that to these licensing requirements. So that'll be super helpful. Again, security and fraud. Right, because again, right, we're still dealing with a lot of fraud in this day market. You're thinking about 2025, and we're still hearing about scams and hacks. Just the latest one, we had the meme coin that came out with the fake Baron Trump meme coin. Again, these guys are smart. They use people that are celebrity names that are kind of driven by, I guess, the frenzy. And here we are, right? Now it uses the kid's name, and I don't think that's the right way to kind of deal with it. And here we are, another hack. So we're hoping that, again, these things get addressed and build consumer confidence, right? But again, right, just to kind of back myself up, even when we're talking about what institutions are out there, and we have Valor, who is a subsidiary of DeFi Technologies, and they're working on expanding its digital asset offerings, and that now includes like non-blue chips like Dogecoin, Aptos, Sui, and that's going to be based out of Germany. So that's going to be great, right? Helping that global economy there. Again, right? There's applications now that are DeFi centric around Bitcoin, right? So that's going to be awesome, right? Especially now giving Bitcoin some type of utility. And that's going to be a partnership with CoreFi. So again, right, there's a lot of little things that are being invested on a global scale, and then even locally. And we're just waiting for this to be put into place. And you think that when you hear all these things, that the market would be like, yay! And they are, right? But they're like, I got to hold on to this money. I'm not sure, right? And when you see the whipsaw, right, happening, it's like, when do you jump in? It's like a kid trying to get into a double Dutch jump rope. When do I jump in? Right? But that's how I think that's the best analogy right now, right? And we're just waiting for that. On the gold side, none of you guys can say that I've been saying it for weeks, right? When the dips are coming, and when we're gonna start hitting to 3K, and it looks like right now we're just aiming for that 3K mark. How far above that? Not sure, right? We never know. But when you see the stocks like the Nasdaq, and S&P, and take these hits, this money is not disappearing. right? They want to hold on to this money. Where they put it, right in gold, and that's what happened today. Which again bodes for me really good news in the crypto space because it didn't come from crypto. Most of these gains in gold really came from the stocks. So that means that crypto still has a chance to really kind of solidify itself, maybe form a new range. It's not the range where I want to form at, right? But we got to take our wins when we can get it. So they're going to form it around 85, 86, and then jump up from there. So be it. But gold right now, um, uh, aiming towards 3K. You have a nice W pattern, so you're probably going to see a small dip and then another up for the next couple of maybe a couple of hours or maybe towards the end of the week. We'll see. But I'm actually excited to see gold start reaching to that 3K mark and what it'll mean for the economy, right? And we're not talking about US, right? We're talking about just the global economy because everybody trades gold. So just the fact that it's so strong right now and it's building all this value for everyone, it just kind of shows that people are paying attention, not just to their own markets, but to the global markets right now. So we'll see what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. But guys, gold hitting up 3K is a good thing, and it kind of weakens the dollar, which is I think one of the administration's goals right now. Goals is to kind of do that, right? So let's see how far we're going to go. Are we going to hit 31, 32? 30, yeah, 32K. That'd be amazing. Any questions?
No, that's amazing. When it comes to we've been saying it all along on this channel for a long time now that crypto regulation is needed. With the meme coin fiascos that we had, everything from Libra to Trump to Melania, Barron, these rug pulls is what we'll call them. We need meme coins has a place in the market. I totally agree with that. I don't mind them. I enjoy them. They're fun. It's a kind of a breath of fresh air when it comes to trading because it's fast paced. Everything that happens on a meme coin takes a regular crypto asset, days, weeks, even months to have the same kind of price action. But I do believe that regulation is required in order to launch a meme coin. It needs to be harder to do. You shouldn't be able to just go on a website such as Pump Fund, fill out a few keystrokes and boom, you got a meme coin. It should be a little bit more difficult than that. There needs to be, some kind of KYC, a little bit of background check and that kind of thing. Maybe not background checks, but you know what I mean. There needs to be some kind of accountability in case anything goes south. But in that being said, I do believe that meme coins have a place in the market. And of course, we all know here that Terry is kind of the meme coin guy on the program. I'm not sure if you had any updates when it comes to meme coins, Terry. Did you want to talk about a bit about those?
Yeah, I can run through a couple of those real quick. Let me
okay.
Bring my screen up then.
All right.
In the meantime, I will ask a question, right? If regulation did come to meme coin, and the way we want it, right, where we can track down people if things go bad, if it's official rug pull, whatever the case may be, do you foresee the same level of spikes that we used to see in the past if regulation comes to the meme coin space?
Yeah, I don't think that the action will be affected. The reason that we haven't seen the spikes is that the liquidity just got drained away. Yeah. We were just talking about it in one of our groups this morning. It's like, look, man, 150,000 is the new 15 million. Like,
oh jeez.
Yeah, no, it's brutal. Well, I mean, there used to be several coins a month ago, right? There were several coins a day that would run to $1 million out of Pump Fund. There's none now. Most of them run to like 150, 200, maybe 300,000, and that's it. I mean, and those are the good ones. Honestly, there are some other big runners, but they're just super, super few and far between.
Crazy.
But I think it'd be a good thing. I would like to see, I would like to see some KYC and stuff. Pump Fund has really just been brutal on the market. Okay, so I can see that we have this up. I was watching this. This is a brand new coin shite, and obviously it happened before we get to talk about it. But when you see this rising channel like this, that's just not sustainable. And it did have some possible levels, but as the as soon as the buy volume started to drop here, it was just not going to come back up.
Textbook rising channel.
Yeah, textbook rising channel, and it back test right here. Here's your EMA, or sorry, your that's an SMA, your SMA 50, right? So about with the bottom of the channel, positive back test there, fell away, boom, done. And this, yeah, bye-bye. That one's just so
typical.
Now if I go to, oops, that probably didn't work. Okay, I can't close the screen. Sorry.
That's okay.
Give me 1 second here. Be back.
Yep, no worries.
EIC.
Yeah, like I was saying before about meme coins. I mean, they are a lot of fun, and they definitely have a place in the market. But they need to be, I don't want to use the word safe, but they need to be where anyone that decides about money and gamble, and basically what you're doing, they're going to know that the owner of the meme coin isn't just going to rug pull and all their money is gone. They want to at least have a chance to make money and let it die off naturally by people withdrawing their money. I see you are back up. There you go, Terry.
But yeah, they need some security. So EIC, here's one of these ones, and this is one actually that did super well for us. So it went up to like 6 million, but it put in a triple top, right? Triple top, came down, lost the range, back tested the range, dropped off. And with these, it's just going to grind down until it breaks this line. You got that pop, that was your exit pump. I mean, there is some hope down here of consolidation. We could see another pump, right? But I don't like to spend a whole lot of time on these until they show something again, because you're just your time is better spent, right? You don't want to tie up capital in something like this when you have the opportunity to, maybe put it into something else. Okay. Looking at Pui's. Pui's has been really good. This one's starting to look a little weak for us. Right at the moment, it is at the bottom. The SRSI is at the bottom. The MACD is neutral. So I think we are going to see another push up. I don't think we're probably going to get past this line. This has been a super major trend line on the way up here. So, and that's hanging around 51 million right now. So I don't see it getting back up there. Obviously, it'd be some major resistance here around 45 or so. PVS, another really strong one for us. Continuation cup hit its target, right? Didn't fill, but hit. It's on the retrace from that. So 382. If we get a bounce off the 382, generally what that means is a weak push up. So it'll challenge this higher, go a little bit higher. I'd be looking for a retest of the neckline. So about 1.6 or a 0.5 fib pullback. 618 would be okay too. Much below that, I'd start to get worried it gets trapped down in here. WAF. Okay, WAF's another good one, right? So we have this rising trend line here. I think we're going to see a bounce. SRSI low, but I think the MACD is telling us that we will see another lift. Probably not break this area here, so not get to 2.5, right? So maybe 2.3 or so. A week high, because we're seeing. Look, you've got this is the moving average for the volume here. If this volume does not get back above this moving average, even though it'll come down a little bit. If the volume by volume cannot get back above this moving average, this thing, it'll drop back down and probably retest 1 million. There you go. That's a quick 5.
All right. Thanks for the report. Okay. I guess we can talk about the conclusion of today's stream. Basically, just wanted to get the information out to everyone that is feeling really bearish, feeling really down. Their portfolios, they don't even want to look at them. I know I haven't looked at mine in a week or so because of how much we know that they're down. But just know that there's a lot of bullishness coming, possible bullishness, I should say. All these things are going to converge, and hopefully that helps propel the market to the next leg up. But I did want to say that there's always that slight chance that the markets do not recover and we slowly slip into a mini bear. I'm not saying we're entering into the main bear market. I mean, that's even always possible as well, but we could slip into a little bit of bearishness here. So you kind of have to develop a long-term strategy. By that, I mean any of your crypto assets that you've been purchasing lately, especially that you have conviction in, they become, semi-long-term holds. Don't panic sell and get rid of them. Just kind of hunker down. Know that the markets will eventually go back up, whether that be in the next couple of months or whether that be in the next year and a half. Hopefully not that long, but you just got to have a long-term mindset. That way, your mind is prepared. You're ready that if the market does continue to go lower, not a big deal to you. You just buy more. DCA, if you do have extra capital, I know a lot of us, including myself, don't have really a lot of liquid cash sitting here waiting. I'm all in the market already. But anybody who has been holding cash back a little bit, that's a good chance or a good opportunity to buy in as the market does go lower, if it does go lower. But yeah, have a long-term mindset. Eventually, the markets will rebound, and we will see sunnier days. So in conclusion, I was saying here, as bad as things may seem, as I mentioned earlier, it is following similar patterns to previous cycles. The macro is a little bit different with the current administration doing some funny things pro crypto, but not really doing anything. The tariff wars, there's a lot of different things going on. It's kind of putting fear into the market, but that will pass. Eventually, we will start seeing daily posts or daily news that are bullish for the market, whether it be more purchases, an actual plan, solid news when it comes to the crypto reserve, and that sort of thing. Eventually, that is going to occur. Now, you got to remember, this market is highly manipulated. You got to just tune out the noise. A lot of what's going on is just noise. Maybe the best thing you can do is just kind of close your portfolio. I did mention this last week on the stream. Don't even think about it. Just, let, as time goes on, that news will, become history, and the news will become more bullish. So we'll go around the horn, get everyone's last thoughts and ideas and opinions before we close out the stream. Juan, I'll start with you.
I do take it serious when I tell you guys that those who are going to be trading, always, do your TNA. I think that we have Terry here who does a wonderful job. You see what he has on there, right? He has his volume profile, really kind of analyzing his risks. And like, if there's any time of a period that you guys want to really focus on TNA and getting it right, now is the time, right? The analogy is perfect. It's like double Dutch. You really don't know when to jump in. You can get your head cut off clean, easy, because you just said, let me just throw some money in here, or using high leverage. And like, now's not the time for that, but it's also not the time to pull out your money and quit, right? We're still in a strong position. We still have a lot of good news that's coming out. And maybe March is not going to be the month. I think that people are going to wait for the tax returns and listen to what the tax cuts are going to look like. People are still trying to figure out these tariffs are going to play a huge role or not, and what that looks like. Is bird flu going to be cured, and we're going to be able to do whatever we need to do as far as eating our eggs? I mean, there's a lot of little questions out there that people want to use excuses for these failures. But what we're not getting is just those little details. The money that's going to be invested in crypto, what regulations are really going to be just statewide, or maybe finally go federal, right? Like, it's going to be the lay of the land. So those things play a role in consumer confidence. And guys, don't get it twisted. It's always going to be you versus the institutions, or you versus the not the regulators, but the brokers. No, the brokers, right? Because brokers have their own goals, right? And it's not to really so much to say, let's screw the little man. Sometimes these guys got orders to fill, right? And there's only so much product available. And the only way they can get more product is lowering, dropping this price, right? And it makes things hard. They have to buy up, right? There's people sometimes that want to buy at a higher price and they can't because the product is just not available, or it's just too steep because of the lack of product. And same thing happens with brokers, and brokers they play the game. They play it well. You just have to pay attention to how they're playing that game and focus. And I think this is the time to really get it down packed. If you want to come out of the bull market ahead. And I'm with crypto crazy here when it says, do we have how much of this bull market? Are we going to go into a mini bear and then continue? It really just going to depend on the next few months and how much value our dollar is going to have the next few months.
And how much money is available to put into the market. Exactly. Cruiser, your thoughts?
Just a couple things quick. Just want to say something to anybody who is new into the space. Don't lose hope. This isn't necessarily normal for the bull market. Nothing seems normal in the crypto space this year. So for all the newbies out there, just stay the course. It is a long-term game. Just keep the hope up. And I just have one quick question. That shite chart, I didn't catch the timeline. Was that a daily chart, or was that Hourly, what was that?
That was 15-second chart.
Oh,
That was
okay.
the
Because I was going to say
meme coin that
that.
launched like an hour ago. Yeah.
Ah, okay, okay. Because I'm looking at that thinking that wasn't a kick down the stairs. That was a launch off a cliff. That looked horrible.
Yeah. That's pretty common with these things that,
Yeah.
like I said, it launched right before the show, like 10 minutes before the show started or something like that.
Ah, okay, okay. I kind of I threw some money at something similar a few weeks back, Neurostack, and it spiked.
Yeah, it did.
My small investment was like 6x in a matter of an hour, and I missed it. And next thing I know, I'm half of my investment. So it was quick. It can happen quick. One final thought. Just want to shout out to a buddy of mine who said, I always wear black on these streams, so I look like a floating head. So that's why I'm wearing something other than black this time. So shout out to Steve Hewlett for pointing out my floating head. That's all I got.
Yeah,
for this
I was told the same thing because I have a black background. I
Yeah,
was told
yeah.
to stop wearing black sweaters. So yeah.
Oh.
To add to your point there, Cruiser, not only should people stay the course, but if you're just getting in or want to allocate more money into the market now, thinking that we have hit a local bottom, make sure you follow the narratives and pick good crypto assets. Don't right now I wouldn't suggest meme coins, or I wouldn't suggest anything. Well, meme coins if you're going to play them, but I mean for buy and hold, I wouldn't suggest anything below the top 100. Make sure you're in the right narrative, whether it be RWAs is going to be a big one, DPIN, and of course anything in DeFi is going to do really well. But yeah, don't just invest in anything in the small caps, because as the bull market continues, they may not continue with the rest of the market. So make sure you're putting your money into crypto assets that are probably going to continue to rise and that actually have utility. Terry, final thoughts?
Yeah, obviously not financial advice, but my opinion is meme coins are not for holding. That is, it's a trader's paradise, and that's it. Otherwise, if you don't understand, you're going to be exit liquidity there. So, as far as cruisers, you said that you had that one, the Nui, I think it was, it ran up so high, and a lot of people, I wasn't in it, but a lot of people did well on that. If you set some sell orders, right, just set some really, really high sell orders, right? You catch a wick every once in a while, I mean, most of the time they won't fill, but sometimes they do, and then you feel so clever and smart, and you don't have to watch. So as far as my final thoughts, look, the market conditions are tough. I understand people get discouraged and everything. So my advice to people would be to hang out, paper trade. Honestly, I know you don't want to hear that, but paper trade, drill on your basics, keep refining your strategy and your execution, right? It's tough right now, but if you practice and you dial it in now, then when the bull market comes back, it's going to be easy. Everything's going to be gravy. You almost do yourself a disservice learning to trade in a trending market, because then when things get hard, you just get chewed up and spit out. You just get washed so hard. And so now is the time to learn. Just keep working and join a group, or get together some friends or whatever, but discuss it with other people like this discussion here. I personally always get something out of it, right? You get some like minds together, talk about your plans.
Excellent information. That is great non-financial advice for people to take. Now, speaking of which, Terry, I wanted to mention as well to everyone listening, down in the description, we do have your X link and your YouTube link. For those that don't know, Terry does have a YouTube channel. Post some of his plays and some charts and other information. So go follow him, give him a subscription or subscribe on YouTube. And don't forget as well, in the description will be the link to the DGENZ Discord group, and also the link to the newsletter. I'm actually going to show that now. This is the Crypto DGENZ weekly newsletter, DGENZ Crypto weekly newsletter. Sorry, comes out every week. Great information. The up to the minute, up to date information on the market. Good articles, headlines, charts, as you can see here. It talks about Bitcoin dominance, USDT dominance, total two, and everything else you need to know as to where we are in the market, and kind of keeps you up to date and your thumb on the current going on. And also we have a link for our stream here as well. That's amazing. So don't forget to follow that. And all you have to do is enter in your email. It's a free weekly newsletter, and you will get that newsletter every, what was this one? March 12th. So just yesterday. So every Wednesday we'll send straight to your inbox. All right, gentlemen, as usual, thank you for joining me. This is a great stream. Glad we got this information out. Don't forget, everyone, this is not financial advice, strictly for entertainment and educational purposes only. We are not financial advisors. So don't take our advice or what we say. Make sure you do your own research combined with what you hear on the stream. Once again, thanks, everybody. Great stream. I guess we'll see everybody next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, we have our weekend report almost every Monday, depending on the situation. That goes uploads on Mondays. Thanks again, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Ciao.